Zoning Board of Appeals regular meeting I'm opening the meeting, calling to order. First, if you could turn off your cell phones, make sure everybody's silenced. Thank you. Hope everyone's used the restroom. Okay, good. So what we're gonna do is get through the agenda tonight. We just have one active hearing. We have one thing that's gonna be continued. When you come up to be heard, just make sure you state your name clearly into the microphone, one person at a time. You guys have been through this before, I know. I think you guys are new to this. But if you want to speak, you just have to wait your turn, come up and speak, and put your name in for the record. The first calendar item is calendar number 21-2025, the application of Denise Bloodgood and Bloodgood Architectural Design on behalf of Aria Antonopoulos at 11 Wilson Ridge Road. This is going to be opened and immediately continued to our next meeting, which is November 19th.
That's
Good?
correct. Right here at room 206.
In this room, okay. Now we're on to our public hearing for the evening, which is calendar number 26-2025. This is the application of Jeff Scalise to allow the construction of a replacement 2.5 story residence at 345 Hollow Tree Ridge Road. Hello, Mr. Scalise, I assume.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Okay, can everybody see that?
We can, and we did get advanced copies of everything, so thank you.
Okay, great.
Great.
I'm Jeff Scalise, the owner of the property. I'm a local builder, and I also am a resident. I've lived here for 25 years. Are you ready?
I need to be in a power position. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, the reason why I'm here is to request a variance. It's because of the odd shape of this 1 acre parcel here. And the hardship is really the odd shape of this 1 acre. I just have 4 points, and then it'll be in your hands. The proposed house will not encroach on any setback lines. Typically, a variance, we request if we're going to be going into a setback line. The proposed house will not. It will be within all the setbacks that you guys put together for that zone. Number two, the existing house that is there has been there for 71 years, and there has never been a complaint of its location. Number three, I think it would be less disruptive to the direct neighbors, most importantly, I think the rear neighbor, to keep the house, in the same spot instead of relocating it to a different area. This is what everybody's used to. The house has been there, so I think it would be less disruptive to just plop it back kind of right where it was. And then number four, keeping the new house in the front of the property is going to allow any children that would live in that house to play in the rear, which would obviously be safer than putting the house in the back and then having the kids playing in the front closer to the busy road. That's really all I have to say about it. If you have any questions, I can try to answer them.
Are you tearing down the entire structure? You're starting from scratch?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
It's already gone, isn't it?
It's
Yes.
Correct.
Is there a way to build this entire house without, you said it's not expanding into any of the setbacks, right?
Correct.
So what variance do you need?
It's kind of an odd, I think the way it's written, the back, it's it's like a bow tie.
Yes.
The back bow is slightly larger, I think. It kind of depends on how it's laid out. There's really no square, so it's hard for you to probably
Are you in the
see.
buildable area, though? I guess it looks to me
Yes.
like you're in the buildable area.
Yes.
Correct.
You want me to help Jeff out?
Yeah, so what's he seeking
So
a variance for? Okay.
Hervé, this is one where Jeff spoke with Woody before Woody retired.
Okay.
And we talked through this a little bit, because it's a very unique situation. There's section 334 of the zoning regulations, which talks about lot width. And as Jeff pointed out on the survey, they drew this square, which shows the required lot width area, and Jeff's gonna point it out to
This
you.
big square right here.
And you can see that it doesn't quite fit in that part of the property. So the only part that would have the lot width, you can see all the way in the back, that number 177, right above Jeff's finger,
Yeah, right here.
right there, that's the width at that point. Jeff needs 150 feet. There's only a very small portion of this lot that has that 150-foot width, and Hervé has shaded that in pink.
Okay,
That area in pink is probably about as wide as this table, and probably as long as this table.
got it.
Jeff cannot build a house in that pink area shown on the plan.
Yeah.
So there, that's the hardship, is this, and it's been in this configuration, this lot, for 70 years.
Yeah,
at
71
least.
years, yeah.
Same in the front, same thing, there's a very, like, this is even smaller in the front.
Right, there's a-
It's
Okay.
coffee table size.
Yeah, so you can see here, in black was the original house,
Yeah,
and so then the new house is with orange. So it's, a little bit larger, but it's basically gonna, this setback line is gonna stay, this line here is gonna stay. So it's very close to where it was.
okay.
It's just slightly larger, of course.
Yeah, this-
But I'm not going into the setbacks, like I said.
So the thing we're always trying to determine is this the only place you can really put the house? And is it the minimal adjustment?
Yep.
Are you blowing it out of the water? Are you doing a modest home that is within the 20% coverage?
Yep. Yes, I'm within all the regulations,
You're being a responsible homeowner.
I guess. Well,
It sounds like it. So what do you think, Hervé? You've looked at this, Jeremy's looked at this, and you think this is the right
We did look at
place?
it, and it really is the best solution in relationship to the site, yeah.
Yeah.
The buildable.
I think what I understand you saying is if you push this to the way back of the property, that doesn't really solve your problem, because the only place where it does fit.
You still
Okay,
can't build a house in the back.
got it.
Right, still needs a variance.
So stating the hardship for the record, it is the shape,
yeah, the hardship is the shape,
Shape of the
it's a
lot.
very odd shape.
Yes.
Lot, so,
okay,
yeah, that's pretty much
And
it.
the only thing that is not compliant as of right is the buildable width, or the lot width.
okay. The width is
The
the
lot width
challenge.
being 150 is the challenge.
And pushing it further back would also negatively impact the other neighbor that's to the west of the lot,
Both
right?
of them, I think. Yeah, 'cause the other one's built pretty close back here too.
Yeah, this one here.
Yeah, that one too.
Because I met with them this morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So to that point, have the neighbors, what have the neighbors said about this? Are they in support of this? Are they made aware of this?
They are all aware, because they all got letters.
Okay.
The only one that I've had dialogue with is the one in the back.
Okay.
And they obviously don't want a house back there, because it's very close to their backyard.
Yeah.
They like the privacy. Their backyard is right, right here, exactly. So,
Sure.
I said, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the variance. I said, oh, do you want us to come? I said, well, I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
It's,
I got it. The other thing we like to do while we're at this is clean up other things on the property that are not in compliance. I see a little thing called shed on here. What is that little thing called shed?
that's gonna disappear.
It's a magic shed.
It's a magic shed that will go poop
That's a disappearing shed, yes.
to get your CL. Okay, okay. Proposed pool equipment, that's all within
Yes.
proper setbacks. Proposed pool. Do we have any issues with any of this? It all looks like it's within
No,
setback.
They're
All
all
good.
Okay. Guys, what do you have for questions?
And I can see that the area in pink that's shaded in the rear, there's more, but I agree that if you're going to have a variance either way, I don't see why you would force it into the rear. That makes no sense to me, so I think I'm comfortable. I see the rationale for keeping the variance with it being in the front.
Yeah, we don't want to get into deliberating yet, but I
Right.
want to make sure you're comfortable at
Right.
least with what they
Yeah,
proposed.
I'm
Okay,
comfortable with that.
okay,
Yeah, no questions for me.
no?
Have you had communication with the neighbor to the south?
I haven't talked to anybody except for the one in the back.
I see, okay.
But they all did get a letter that there was a meeting here tonight.
Okay.
And about what you're doing?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, okay, that's great. Did you share this with them and show them what you're,
I believe they got a full package.
okay. We like that. We're all about the
Yes.
disclosure, okay. All right, anything from you guys?
No?
All right, if that's it, is there anybody else in the audience that wishes to be heard on this application? All right, that closes the hearing. We're going to
Thank you
deliberate this
very much.
evening. Okay. I see someone else in the audience. Are you here for
Yeah,
other?
For the first item under other business,
Other
18
business.
Anthony.
Okay, should we then deliberate on this and then we'll move to other business?
However
Let's
you
do
wish to do
that.
it.
Okay. Comments from the peanut gallery on this?
I think it's reasonable.
I'd stay because we're going to give you a resolution in a minute. You can't talk, but yeah, you'll hear your answer and then you can know what to do.
Kind of want to know.
Yeah,
You can start framing.
Enough said.
okay?
Yeah, I mean, I'm rarely the person that is speaking up against these proposals. I'm fine with this proposal. I think it's great. It is putting in a pool. You know, is it the minimum adjustment necessary? Probably not. But I think it's a good plan. I think it's a modestly sized house. It's a nice house. It fits the lot. We're talking about a total lot width issue, not necessarily a setback issue. So I think you have a little more flexibility there. But
So Matt makes a good point. Normally, if we're stretching the boundaries of something, we don't allow the pool.
Pool doesn't need a variance.
Doesn't need a variance.
It's the house that needs the variance.
Yeah.
Accessory structures don't need to meet lot width requirements.
In the
I
multifamily
think what he's
situation that
saying-
we ruled on recently, it was under a different,
that's the one on the
I
list.
think your point, though, is that if you push the house to the back, where would the pool go? Is that,
No, I think it's the right place too. I just, but that's a good point. I realize accessory structures were not subject to the width. So, like I said, I like the proposal. I'm fine with it.
okay,
I just, I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate there.
okay, no, I like it. Randy?
No, I like the proposal too. I think it's a minimum thing you can do, and it's basically the same footprint that's been there for 70 years.
I think it's in keeping with the neighborhood, too. I think it's, I mean, when you think about where the house is gonna be located, that's the right place for it to be located.
I like all those comments. I agree. I'm in support of it. I think the hardship is the shape of the property. And the zoning rules predate the home that's been there for 71 years. I think it is the minimal adjustment. He is within setbacks and he is within coverage. So I do not have any issues with this. I think this is what we look for. Also, if you look at the street, I think like all the houses, this is, to Jana's point, in keeping with the neighborhood in terms of all the properties kind of lining up. So I am good with this. So does someone want to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Jana makes a motion to approve in a second.
Second.
All in favor? That's 5-0. Congratulations, you may start building.
Thank
So-
you so much.
You're welcome. So what we'll do is build in the standard stipulations, which would be, obviously, let's talk about those, so those are in the record.
We just had a conversation about
I think the only thing which Hervé would usually put is the requirement for an as-built survey
Okay,
showing that it complies with the setbacks.
okay,
Other than that, they're not preserving anything, they're not doing anything. So the only condition, which Hervé would have put on anyways, would be the requirement for an as-built survey, in this case, of the foundation, not necessarily anything above the foundation, yes?
We typically get, for replacement houses, a full as-built survey at the time of foundation and another one at the end of the project for the CO.
Which
to
would
make
show the
sure-
drainage.
Which shows the drainage and everything else.
Okay.
So that's kind
we're
of
gonna
the
talk later
standard.
tonight about what should be standard, but I think if that's what you're recommending,
Yeah, this
Guys, you like that?
usually covers everything. You know, we get the drainage up front, it gets reviewed by our peer review engineer. That kind of starts the foundation permit. They don't put the drainage in before framing goes up, because otherwise it'd be crushed by all the engine and stuff. But then, at the end, there's a whole full-blown as-built survey with buried infrastructures and all the drainage system to make sure, and then we check that.
great.
We check it as
Privations
built.
of CO,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Got it. The only stipulation I would have, I would add the shed is to be removed.
Mhm, yeah, I wrote that, yeah.
Got that? Okay. Anything else that you guys
And
see?
the shed removed prior to a CO.
Prior to CO, I like that language. Okay.
And one of the reasons we like saying that is that often this shed is very small and very far away. But often the shed is close enough that they can use it for construction equipment or
I
some
like that.
storage, which kind of makes
Yeah.
the site a little cleaner, but this is pretty far. So
Okay.
I don't know if I don't think they're gonna do much with that.
Yeah, I spoke to Jeff about the shed earlier today, so.
Good.
so
Great catch, good.
With those 3 conditions, yes?
Yes.
Jana made the motion and Matt seconded, all in favor.
5-0 in,
Okay.
in,
3 conditions, okay.
perfect. Okay? That's great. So that closes the public hearing for the evening, and that takes us into other business. Let me just get my agenda out and organized. Okay. The first calendar item for other business is calendar 14-2025. That's Andrew Diller and Dawn Edgar for 18 Anthony Lane. This is a request for plan and modifications. The plan is now to construct a new replacement house. I know a little bit about this. Are they able to speak about this, Jeremy? or
Yeah,
do we
have them
just-
come up and-
Okay, please, come on up, Mr. Edgar.
We have a little technical difficulty, Andrew, if you want to.
Yeah, may I
do
approach and
the old
hand out-
paper.
Absolutely, thank you.
Paper backup. So just to ground everybody, Andrew's handing out the site
Okay.
plan.
Thank you.
And we were granted a variance on the east side of the property. We were about 2 feet inside of the 10-foot setback. So what Andrew's handing out is the survey. In the back, so we began to execute the plan. We were digging a foundation to square off the property and then build up on top. When we were about to put the footings in, we found out that the survey was incorrect because the house in the back, the addition, there was an addition back in the 1980s timeframe. That addition was a little crooked, and we've kind of drawn it in blue. It's off by about 8.5 inches. It actually is 8.5 feet away from the side variance instead of 7.8 feet, which was originally on the survey. And I believe the surveyors probably contemplated that the original house just went straight back, but you can now that we've seen this, we can actually see with our eye that has a little tilt in it. So that the far right side old addition is 217 plus inches, just a little bit more than that. And the west side of that old addition is 209 inches. So there's an 8.5 inch difference. And the foundation is that way. So when we went to square off the foundation that we were putting in on the back corner to square off the whole rectangle, it was wildly out of sync. And the people putting in the foundation called me. I went over there and they said it's just too far out. Like it's almost 9 inches out of square. So you can't put the house, you can't square up the new house on this foundation. So we originally had a stipulation that if we did anything, we were planning on keeping those walls, the walls on the right side and the back side of the family room. We cannot keep any of the walls because of the foundation is crooked and the house is crooked. So if we take that old addition off, we are then left with 3.5 walls of the original house. And when we're looking at that piece of the original house, it has block, it shows block in the crawl space, like cinder block. When we dug the foundation, the cinder block only went down a few feet, and then it was sitting on these rocks. And we'll show you a picture after this. So we're left with 3 walls and not the best foundation. So we're just saying that at this point, we believe it's the most appropriate thing is to take down the remaining structure. What we plan to do, if you see the driveway on the left side of this map, we're going to try to pull the house up about 8 to 10 feet forward so that when we move it over, and we're going to try to move it over by 2 feet, which should get us just about, out of that zone. So we're going to be very close, but I think we can get it over enough that it's just inside of the 10 foot. But I would just like to keep our variance in place until we fully have new plans drawn up, which is what we're in the process of doing.
Pat, I have to commend you. And they don't know that you stopped and called me. This is exactly what was supposed to happen. We gave you a variance, you got into the project, discovered that the foundation was not what you thought it was, and instead of going forward, you stopped and you called, and you
Yep.
immediately went to staff.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep, you're welcome.
And I think because you did that, the result will be better. We will work to expedite this and get this done quickly for you and get the approvals you need.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, no, we appreciate that.
And we appreciate this, yes.
So, yeah, our current plan is to pull it forward, move it over, and you'll see it's going to be just about into the driveway. That's why I think we'll just about get it, we should get it in. Right now, there's 18 feet, and the driveway goes about 16 feet. So we have a little bit of room to move it, but we're also going to move it up because when we move it to the left and we have that back squared on, it would start to eat into the existing driveway. So we're pulling it forward. It's still within the front setbacks like that.
Okay.
And so,
So this is going to be an improvement. It'll be less encroachment than it was before, but you're still going to need a variance, a slight variance. We just don't know the exact
I
measurements
think, you know,
yet.
my goal would be to try to get it all the way over, but it's going to be,
Okay.
it's going to be close because of the driveway that we're kind of constricted by how
Yes.
far we can push
And
it.
as I recall, it's pretty narrow, right?
It's a
So you're-
very narrow lot.
Yeah.
That's
That's the issue.
I got
Yeah.
some questions.
Yes, perfect. Go ahead.
Some architectural question. I'm trying to understand, this is pretty much a one-story building currently?
Yes.
Right? With this crooked back?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
What you're saying is you're gonna lift it up?
Well, no,
Slide
no,
it?
no,
You're
no,
gonna
at
start
this
from scratch.
point, Andrew, why don't you hand out some pictures that we had of the site, what we've done?
So the second question was, when you say you would like to keep the variance that you had, which was the ground level was encroaching into the right side 10-foot setback,
Right,
and the variance was to build a second story above it,
yes,
correct?
that's correct.
So you were keeping that. You'd like to keep that encroachment into the 10-foot setback, continue building on top of it, but still move to the left wall and the front wall. So you'd kind of slide things over.
Maybe.
Is that kind of what?
Well, we're trying to take we will take down the entire house
Mm-hmm.
and build a new house exactly as our plans were specified. We're not changing anything on our plans, other than there was a little side porch that was on the original plans that we submitted. We're taking that off so it's not into the driveway. So we'll just have a door that goes into the side, but we're
So
taking
you're asking
off.
to rebuild the nonconformity?
Yeah, that I
And
don't
then-
like,
And
yeah.
then expand the house closer to the driveway in order to be better positioned and maybe
Yes.
have a straight back.
Yes,
But then you're still encroaching into the side yard setback. Is that what
I
you
hope,
understood?
They're working on it.
I hope that any encroachment would be like an inch or so, like I'm just hoping that it's like very minimal or none. But that's our goal. It's like so much in process. This happened last week. And we're trying, we were literally ready to pour the foundation for the corners. And this came up, I
Sure,
thought the
no,
guy
that's
was.
great.
Because Pat, if we're starting over, can't you
Yeah.
just move the whole house over? Like, why is there
That-
any?
That's what they're doing.
That's
Yeah.
what
Oh,
we're trying
okay, I
to
thought
do.
that's what you were asking. They're
Yeah, that's what
staying,
we're doing. We're taking the whole house, we're moving it
You gotta see
over.
it, make sure it fits.
yeah,
We believe we can fit it in.
okay.
But I just don't want our variance, like if we're an inch or two, like I don't want to
Okay.
mess with that, that's all.
Well, we'll have to approve the variance to the plan, so we'll need specific plans, but
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You don't want,
I think we're
We're
gonna be
close.
okay.
Okay.
Like, I think we're gonna be okay, but it's very tight. I'm just, like, we've taken off, like I said, on the left side of our plans, we had a few steps because the other thing is we'll be lowering the house down. So the house had a series of steps, and it had a side little porch that was taking up space. We're cutting that off
okay,
so that we can just walk in a side door right from the driveway. So we've chopped off about 3.5 feet to make sure that we can kind of move it in and fit
yeah.
within that.
It's hard for us to picture, but it's sounding like you're making it less of a.
Much less, like
Okay.
if you say that we roughly just say round numbers, we're about 2 feet encroached, I think we're gonna get it inside the buildable lot, but it might be an inch or two at the end of the day.
Okay.
Like just how it all works out.
It's
So,
sounding good. So our goal is always to say no to every variance, right? You come in front of us, and if you find out the foundation's faulty, fine, go ahead and put the
Yeah.
whole thing where it's supposed to be.
Right.
But I understand what you're saying, you're like, we're getting really close.
Yeah.
You know, come on, Barb, we were there, so let's, yeah, we want you to get as much as you can in that,
Yeah.
in the buildable area.
And that's what I hope to have.
Okay.
I hope at the end of the day, but
Yeah.
I just don't want to have to like do a do-over
Get it?
again,
I
like
get
start
it.
the whole process over again.
Well,
That's all.
we will have to approve, so we'll.
Well,
how
it
will
depends
the
if it needs a
engineering-
variance. If it
Got
needs a variance, they have to come back to you.
Okay.
And either do it as a modification, it
Yep.
depends on the
Okay.
design. If you design something that's fully compliant, you can
Yep.
work with me and Hervé,
Okay.
looking at the plans.
Yep.
Then there may be a chance you don't need to come
Okay,
back.
that's good.
And
Faster.
We'll try and move this quickly, though.
So-
Yeah.
so the ZBA next meets November 19th. So
Okay.
as soon as the plans are ready,
Gotcha.
come meet with us and we'll
So
figure this out.
We've given them to the
Surveyor.
architect, so they're doing it, and we're dealing with a new surveyor, right?
Ah,
So,
that's, yeah.
you know,
Now,
kind of like.
One
this is-
important difference between tearing down and renovation is if you bring
Drainage.
it down is you have to do a full drainage report.
Yes, we
When
have,
if you're trying to stick with that footprint and keep some of the volume, even if you do the back and you kind of straighten out as you're moving things, you may not need a full drainage report.
okay.
So that's an important, both financial and time-wise.
Yes.
The drainage is a big component now
Okay.
of this
So,
application.
that's very helpful. That's what I mean, we're so much in motion and we want to get the foundation before the winter, so like, that's why we called you so quickly and try to
Yes.
get this into play. I did hire somebody to do a site plan in case we needed it, but,
Do they need a site plan?
Well, we would need a plan showing the drainage.
But that's if they do a complete
Right.
rebuild.
For just this
Down-
alteration, well, I guess we'd have to see the plans. I don't want to make
Okay, yep, yep,
representations.
Okay.
But we'll work to keep this moving.
Okay, that's my only yes, that's great, that would be, so we're trying to get, I've hired somebody to do a site plan. Really, the next thing is we're gonna select somebody to demo, and then we'll begin the demo permit process right away to try to accelerate that,
Good,
Great,
okay?
thank you.
thank you.
Yep.
Any questions from you guys?
Andrew, did you want to see the,
No,
if you
I
guys
was
want to
gonna
look
wait
at some
to-
pictures?
No,
but,
Yeah, if you want to show us, that's great.
Yeah.
What that shows is there's a series of pictures
Oh,
that show.
wow.
Yeah,
I think you made the right call.
Yeah,
Pass this over to you
rocks.
guys.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, there's a couple of things there, but one of those pictures is just, I took a line off the original house
Yeah.
and just ran a line and it shows that
Right.
it's,
Crazy.
that shows that it's.
so you have the foundation issue and the surveying issue. You have
Yeah.
two issues working against
What
you.
was
We were,
here?
we were
Nothing?
almost
So
willing
this
to
is-
kind
you
of live
went-
with, there were guys who was telling me how we could pin up the foundation, but really when it
Surveying
was that
thing.
far out, that, the survey thing
Complicated even worse.
was the final.
Is this ledge here?
Yeah, that's, which is.
What was I looking at there, Matt?
This is, if the house was built like a
Straight?
perfect rectangle.
Got
it
it.
should- The corner should be finishing here.
Oh,
Yeah,
my.
yeah, so,
It's that off. Interesting.
yeah, it's,
Well, again, I commend you for stopping. I think you'll get a better product out of this.
Yeah,
And we
yeah,
will work to
yeah.
go
Thank you.
quickly through the process with you.
okay. Thanks
Yes.
very much for your time, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat. Thank you. Okay, so we'll look forward to revisiting this modification on the 19th of November,
If needed.
if needed.
If
Yes.
needed, yeah, if
You'll work
needed.
with staff.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, on to a second item under other business, requested 8-month extension for Brian Donnelly at 6 Maple Street. Do you know why the request, I'm sorry.
No,
you don't know.
I didn't get a reason, but it is a pretty straightforward, 6 Maple Street.
First
I don't have-
request?
First request.
Okay, normally we grant it for first request. Bye, guys. You okay with that?
Is it 8 months, is it usually?
Usually we give them, 6 months is usually, I don't know. I don't know what the issue is. I'm even sure, I don't remember this at all. 6 months. I do remember this, really, really small
Maple
house,
Street.
yes.
Which one was this?
When you're turning onto Maple, there's like the flower store at the corner, you're turning
Yep.
in, it's like that little house right
Oh,
there.
yes.
And they have no room to turn around. I think they're
Yes.
probably struggling to get the plans figured out.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't have a problem with
I don't have a problem with it either. Do I have a motion to extend? Jana, I'll do a second. All in favor?
Great.
Jeremy, that's
Zero,
5-0,
thank you.
okay. Approval of the minutes from July 22nd. I think, Jana, you were on that?
I was not.
You were not, okay.
Matt Loria, Randy Tankus, Barb Hazelton.
Oh, you were. Okay, I have read those and I approve, so I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Matt, that's 3-0,
Yep.
okay? And then approval of the minutes from the special meeting of town council on September 10th. That was me, Kevin, Matt, John, and Jana. So Jana, Matt, and
I read those.
I've read those. You make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay, Matt, you remember those?
Yep, I'll
Second, all in favor, that's 3-0 in favor of the special meeting minutes.
Yep.
Okay. And then moving on to number 5, approval of minutes from September 17th.
This is one I think we have to.
It's Matt Dyson, Randy Tankus, Jana Romine, Barb Hazelton.
All of us except for Gary, okay.
I was not there.
Okay, yeah, you haven't read those?
I can't get through them, I haven't been able to figure out, oh, sorry, they're here now.
They're here.
Yeah, but I haven't, so it's up to you.
Okay, so we could vote, 3 of us could vote on them if you want to do that. Jana hasn't had a chance to review them, but I've read them, I think they're fine.
I read them, I thought they were.
Thank you, 3-0.
3-0, Jana
I'll make a
abstaining.
motion, Jana abstains.
And
Okay.
Matt Loria.
Randy says yes, and Matt Dyson says yes.
Got it.
So it's 3-0, okay. Discussion of proposed zoning citation ordinance. Did they all get this in advance too? Or was I the only one that got this?
You might have,
We got
No,
it.
I got the email. I wasn't able to print it out.
I think one of the advantages of having Hervé on our staff now is that he has come from other towns where they have done this kind of thing, and I would very much like some kind of enforcement for zoning ordinance. When somebody is in violation of zoning, I'd like there to be a consequence for that.
Yep, right here. So we talked about, this is a proposal which would allow the zoning enforcement officer to issue fines. It's really the third step. I mean, before then, he's got to issue notice of violation, then a cease and desist order, give the person an opportunity, and then, if they're not responding to that, the ability to issue a fine. Because it's a ordinance, it's got to get approved by the local legislative body, which is your 100-member representative town meeting. They are meeting at the end of October to vote on this.
Does it have to go through the Board of Selectmen?
Board of Selectmen has approved it.
Oh,
Planning and Zoning looked at it the other night, they support it.
Well done.
So it's on its path to give us another tool in our tool belt, so to speak.
Is there a time frame between the warning and then the first
Yeah, there's all,
written and then
Yes.
finally instituting the fine?
There are a number of provisions in there in terms of giving the person notice, an opportunity to appeal to a hearing officer. So there will have to be a zoning citation hearing officer who will be appointed by the first selectman.
Oh, okay.
And they will hear appeals. So if Hervé says, move your boat, and the person says, I'm appealing that, I don't own a boat, it's not my boat, the hearing officer can hear the testimony from Hervé and the property owner, whoever it is. So other communities have used this successfully, Norwalk, Westport, I think Weston as well. So we're not really the first people to do it,
it's done.
it's been done in other locations successfully, because it really, we don't want people's money. What we really want is these issues resolved, the violation to be resolved. But right now, to get fines, we have to go to court. To go to court, we usually have to bring an attorney. To bring an attorney, we have to pay the attorney. So that is always our last resort. In this case, we wouldn't need an attorney. We can threaten the fine, we can impose the fine. Hopefully, it will start getting these things resolved. What I've heard is successful in other communities is when the violator sits down with the hearing officer will say, what's the problem? What can you do to solve this? And it's another person to kind of prod them along in terms of,
Do we have the staff to do this?
well, the hearing officer is a volunteer appointed by the first selectman.
Okay,
It's got to be a person who lives in town,
okay,
who's not an elected official.
okay.
It also gives some teeth to the notice of violations.
That's what I
Because
like about it.
right now, you say, you could incur fines and penalties at the bottom of the letter, and a lot of people know we don't have a fine and penalty system, right? And so now if there is a system and it will work a few times before people know, hey, they do mean this, there could be a fine, then it starts to change the dialogue, because now they get the zoning violation and they know that, something could happen.
How is the collection enforced though, like taxes?
Yes, what would happen is the town would be able to levy the fine, and if needed, and just what you said, if push comes to shove, it's very similar to the town's blight ordinance, which allows the town to apply a fine,
I love it.
and if the fine is not paid, it keeps accruing.
I love this.
Well, I have a separate officer. Why don't I just let this board hear the appeals of violations?
Yeah, well, I think the state statute envisions, really calls out the appointment of a separate hearing officer. Certainly, people can appeal decisions of the zoning officer to you, but what they're really appealing is the fine.
Mhm.
They can't appeal the fines to you. So the state statutes give us certain parameters and limits. One is the maximum fine is $150. 2 is the hearing officer has to be appointed by the first selectman. 3, can't be that. So it lays out a number of limits and restrictions for us. But the ordinance has been designed to kind of work within those specific limits.
Do you know why we haven't done this before? Like, is it town
It's
normal
only
history?
it's only in recent years, and I don't know the exact year off the top of my head, that state statutes have allowed it.
Okay.
Whether that's 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 8 years ago, I don't remember the exact number. But some towns did it right off the bat. We've been holding off in terms of, but I think it's time that, we don't have to apply a fine, we don't have to assess a fine, but it gives us, as Hervé mentioned, the ability to say to someone, look, I realize you're ignoring my cease and desist order, here's the citation, you now owe $150.
There's not a huge amount of violation in Darien. I think we're pretty lucky in this town. People are really driven by the honor system. We find that sometimes they are in violation, they don't know about it, they get a note or a letter, but sometimes boats don't move, as Jeremy was mentioning, boats in front yard. And we have to really kind of come back and keep coming back, and eventually it happens, but it's just too much time spent. If the again, the letter was more powerful, said you're in violation, you've been given a notice, now you're going to be going into the fine system. I think that will move things a little faster.
Could this apply to somebody working in violation of a stipulation? Like, we've stipulated that they can't finish a space as part of a variance, and we find out later that they have. Is that under the discretion of this?
I would think so, but I'll double check.
Yeah, so it's kind of the level of violation,
Yeah, I'll have to check on
Yeah.
what the state statutes, if
I'd
they
be
specifically
curious
say
about that.
zoning regulation.
Yes.
Or something more specific, but
Okay.
I can check on that.
Because that does something that I think we struggle with a bit as a board. Like, we say, these are the stipulations, and then once it's released, that's the end of it. Like, we have no way to enforce
Right.
that.
Well, the leverage that you have is once you have stipulation, if they're not observed, then the person doesn't get a CO.
Once the CO is issued, though.
Once the CO is issued and they come back and they violate, then it's a real.
Yeah, I would assume so, but I'll double check.
I'm talking post-CO is
Yeah,
really what I'm worried
post-CO,
about.
yeah.
Okay. And Hervé, you've worked in towns where they've had this, and it's been
Yes.
very effective?
We actually had a zoning inspector whose job was to go around and give tickets. So that was a little bit more, but it had to do with blights, and he was the blight officer and the zoning inspector at the same time.
Love it.
And if you had a junkyard in your front yard, and it was not getting, you did get the notice of violation and stuff, but he had a booklet, and he was able to say, okay, here you are, you're in violation. So it's really like a parking ticket, but, zoning ticket. It was pretty direct, but I don't think that's what we're doing here. We're doing it a little bit more staged.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's also a different type of violation. I mean, the main violation where down in lower Eastern Shore, Maryland, was really the junkyards and the junk cars and stuff that was not moving. So you had to kind of.
Any reason, any
Sure.
downside to doing this that you see?
I don't think there is a downside. Who knows? Certainly, it's ramped up, so you still have to start with notice violation,
Right.
go up to the cease and desist order, but it's now the ability to, as everybody said, not only threaten the fine, but assess the fine if need be.
So I'm confused. So if someone gets a fine and they want to appeal it, but what they're really appealing is, I'm not actually in violation of the zoning, the decision is wrong, they would have to appeal to us. If what they're saying is, I know I'm in violation, I don't disagree with the decision, but I shouldn't have gotten a fine, they go to this other officer? Or is that new officer also able then to determine that the decision was wrong?
I guess if Hervé says, oh, your sign's in violation,
Mhm.
and the person presents to the hearing officer and says, look, that sign's perfectly okay, I assume the hearing officer could say, we're not assessing the fine. That doesn't appear to be a violation.
So they will also have the authority, because we
To
have.
not assess the fine.
To not assess the fine, but not to overturn the decision.
That's when the person, I guess, would have to appeal, and then that's when we would see it, is they would be appealing a decision of the. zoning.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get to, right? So this officer, they say, well, okay, I agree that decision's wrong, so I'm canceling the fine. But that decision doesn't change the fact that they're in violation.
Violations are pretty clean cut. I mean, you have a whole book of zoning regulation,
Yeah.
and then if you have certain things that are, I don't know if there would be a lot of appeals on a violation decision, if you were violation determination.
Yeah, I guess I'm just
Be like-
curious, but if the decision is valid and not being appealed, then how would you
Right,
appeal
we
the
see,
fine?
what happened,
They would
We
know
see-
where I was.
right, we see many times that cease and desists are not appealed.
Mhm.
They get them, nothing happens.
Yeah,
So then our recourse would be, in this case, issue a fine,
Mm.
$150.
Yeah.
And it keeps accruing and accruing, and you keep sending it, fine, you haven't appealed, you have that, dear Mr. Smith, you have the right to appeal this to a hearing officer. If you don't appeal within a certain time frame, the fine will accrue, and
Mhm.
keep accruing. And we file notice in the land records, keeps accruing, and then the town could then also go to court,
yeah.
and we'd
No,
have to make that
I'm on board
decision.
with all that, and I love the idea of there being some
You don't want them
sort of-
overriding something that we've,
Yeah, well, our authority is pretty well defined, and you know, who gets to overrule a decision on this sort of thing, and that's sort of the whole statutory reason for the ZBA is.
Right. So the hearing officer cannot overrule, right? He
Yeah,
can,
and so I was
he can
trying to
say,
figure out,
there's no,
okay.
no, I'm not applying the fine, or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's not, based on what I've heard, that is not usually what happens.
Yeah.
But again, who knows what could happen?
we'll have to ease our way into it, but what do you need from this board? Do you just need that we're,
I was here to inform,
Yep.
I know it's been an issue. We're bringing it to the RTM, and just wanted to keep everyone in the loop as to what's going on.
I
for doing
love it. You know, my sister and I are like, we're all about this. We've been wanting this for a year. Okay, good. Yay. Okay, what other great stuff do we have? General discussion of application materials, applicant identity, application review, procedures, all of this. You know, it's kind of a chance for us to revamp the process and decide, what do we have staff do? What should the process look like? And I'd love your opinions on this. I have always felt like the more we do up front to educate the applicant on the process, what we're looking for, the smoother this goes. I really don't like when an applicant comes up here and they don't know how to define a hardship, and then they're shocked when we go, hey, look, this isn't gonna work. I mean, that's a loss for everybody. It's a waste of your time, it's a waste of our time. So your thoughts on this item here?
Well, certainly what we've been doing it for a while, is meet with applicants beforehand. I met with Mr. Scalise at least once or twice. We talked a little bit about what is the hardship, how are you going to present it, you know, what to do at the meeting and all that. And that's been a traditional
That went
thing.
well,
Yeah.
great.
You know, and many applicants will sit down and take our advice. Many applicants don't always take our advice, and that's okay. But we will continue to take in the applications, reach out to people, sit down with them. And, you know, what we're also pretty good is getting a good read on the board in terms of giving people guidance on, here's what their questions are going to be, here's what the issues are, this is the type of variance that usually gets approved or doesn't usually get approved. Or they're going to ask you about, can you move it, twist it, shape it, whatever.
Yeah.
So we'll
I think
continue to do
guidance
that.
is great.
I try to explain to people also what is nonconformity. Where do you start understanding the nonconformity, and a lot of people have a hard time, but it's there, it's existing, it's, you know, I'm living in it. You know, so what relationship to the code do they have that makes it a non-conforming structure that would then require something like a variance? Or if they're asking something that's beyond, you know, as you said, explain what is your hardship? And if the hardship is, well, I really want a pool, well, you know, it's just, okay,
That's not a hardship.
there's some hardship that are like, sorry, you just know. So we do explain, Jeremy.
Financials comes up a lot, like it's just
Financial,
less
it's
expensive for us
costing
to
too
do
much,
this,
yeah.
right, okay.
Financial doesn't count, personal doesn't count, but you can have certain type of hardship that are personal, but like ADA, for example, is it's a personal matter, but it's also has some civil rights attached to it, and if you need accessibility and you need an elevator that's gonna be encroaching into a required setback, you know, you start explaining that there are some reasons like that can be. So I tend to go through, we go through a lot of.
But do you think we should require that of an applicant?
Well,
I don't know that we can we?
I don't know that you can, but I don't know if it's always warranted.
Right.
Sometimes, like, Mr. Scalise was pretty straightforward, you know, we met with him once. Sometimes the applicants have really good representation, and their representatives kind of know, you know, you've seen people coming in here
Yep.
once every couple months. They
Maslin
kind of know what to
James,
present.
yep.
They kind of know how to present it. There's nothing more that I could tell them that they don't already know in terms of preparing, presenting, what the standards are. Usually, we spend a lot more time with newcomers, people who don't present usually, people who might not be familiar with Darien regulations. But for the regulars, you know, they know what they're doing. They'll put together a good presentation. They know what the standards are. They know they need 4 out of 5 votes. They know the situation. So
Past members of this board have been reticent to put things in writing, like here's what we look for, here are the
Right.
hardships. Would you steer us against putting anything hard in writing, or would?
yeah, because it kind of varies on each application a little bit. Certainly, we relay to them the common questions. You know, a lot of what we heard tonight. What are the alternatives? Have you examined this?
Have you exhausted all the other
Right.
possibilities?
Explain, you know, when did the house get here? When was the lot created, if you will? So a lot of the questions are the same, but they're not always the same.
Mhm.
So usually we're able to work it out with them.
Do you get, in the agenda, you get a link to the application, right?
We do.
In each application, is there a narrative?
There's
that
the
Yes.
item
that
K
is
is
required?
the narrative.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so
Which
that's like,
describes the
it
hardship.
takes place
Explains their
of like
position.
a staff
Right.
report or staff presentation.
Mhm.
They have to do a narrative of what they are trying to do.
Mhm.
So then the staff doesn't really have to repeat that, it's already in the file, and you've seen it at your time before the meeting, right?
That
Well, I
and
think-
staff notes.
So I would, but I think I had reached out to Jeremy earlier before the meeting tonight. To me, the way that the drawing was presented and the very brief letter that was included as the item K, I think it's K or K1, it didn't give me, I could not tell from looking at those two things what the issue was.
Right.
And so it would have been very helpful to me in the staff questions. That's usually where it's kind of like, hey, heads up, this is a, unusual shaped lot issue. That's the only issue. It fits within the setback. Like even just those 2 or 3 sentences, that's very helpful so that when you're listening to them present, you can focus on what it is you're really supposed to be dealing with instead of sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh, am I worried about the setback? Am I worried about, what am I worried about?
Yeah, and I think a very similar thing, but maybe even organized as like, here's the decision you're being asked to make. Like, here's the variance that is being requested. I think in the last meeting, for most of the packages, and the packages were more extensive at the last meeting, but as you dug into it, it was pretty clear, because they were all setback violations, I think, that, oh, okay, well, here's the line and here's the house, and that makes sense. And this one, yeah, there was a mention, I think, in one of the emails that it was about building in the back at the lot at the front, but, until when I looked at the plans, you can see, oh, obviously it's a rhombus, it's not a rectangle, it's weird, and the placement of their houses, but, from the narrative and the package, it wasn't clear.
Yeah, and I think we used to get like, okay, here's where the setback line is, and you could see where the buildable area was. Just those two things alone are super helpful. And this one I get was a little bit odd with the pink, so, you know, even just your pink with a little explanation of
That's great.
what that would have been for us would have been very helpful. I like to know that beforehand, just it's easier going into it. I feel like there's less surprises that way.
The staff questions are helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, the most helpful thing is those videos. It's like,
Yes.
what could they do? What do they want to do? You know, and you know, it makes it pretty clear. Like, are we talking about an inch? Or are we talking about 10 feet?
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the math, like when we're trying to put into deliberations what we're agreeing to, I really want to be specific about the math. I want to say like we're granting them a 2-foot, 2-inch variance within the setback when it would normally be 10 feet. You know, that kind of stuff is very important, and I think a lot of people tend to gloss over it. You're like, well, what is the minimum adjustment here? What are you doing? They're like, it looks like it's about, I don't want to know about. We want to know exact, right? It's because I think that's what you're ultimately going to approve, the as-built.
Yep.
So that's helpful, the more you can get them to detailed plans. In terms of your roles, how do you want to work with us?
Well, certainly, it will take a few months to find a new staff person. So in the interim, what's going to happen is Hervé will be covering some of the application processing. I'll probably do some of the procedural paperwork, the minutes, the agendas, making sure things are moving along. You'll probably get the email once a week or once a month from myself with all the attachments. So we'll keep probably both appearing at November and December meetings.
Okay.
So to answer your specific point, which is a great point, the problem with announcing ahead of time the variants that are going to be sought during the meeting can be tricky. Because in my past experience, sometimes one thing leads to another, and you have to make sure that the staff report or the staff presentation is really kind of not a loose guideline, but loose enough that there's still options during the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not kind of stuck
Pigeonholed
into
into, yeah.
one specific thing, and then like somehow they find that, oh, well, you know, there's a great discussion happening during the meeting, and they find that, well, if they didn't do that, they could do this, and then they would change, you know, things can move around.
Sure, yeah, I
So,
totally appreciate
right.
that, and it's like, well, you know, you don't want to presuppose the
Right.
discussion or sort of lead to the conclusion, but even something as, you know, simple as, you know, what they're seeking is to,
Right. If
you know,
it's a
remain
variance
built
about
on the
the
front of the
bulk.
lot as the current house is rather than the back as would be required.
Correct.
Yeah, like just usually, a lot of times we go back to whatever the public hearing notice is, and that'll say, okay, the variance that's requested is under, you know, 36.1 in lieu of 40 feet minimum requested by, so even just the public notice, this one, it just, I mean, now I can look back and be like, oh, okay, of course, that wasn't that hard, but you know,
Well,
there
that's-
wasn't anything in here that was really helping me figure out what.
Set up the, prep.
What set up the variance, like what were they looking for? Variance of 334, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm also curious to know, is there a way, I'm thrilled that they stopped that project and did the right thing.
Yeah.
So what can we do to accommodate them going through? Like, they have to come back to a public hearing. There's no way
Well,
for
it
us.
depends. I am of the belief if they can create a conforming house in
Yeah.
a conforming location, they can submit a drainage plan.
They don't need a
that-
variance.
They don't need a variance, and they can just take down the house, put up a new house, and it might be very much in this, almost the exact location.
If they needed a very minor variance, Jeremy, do we have to make them come back for a hearing?
I would say the question would be, and I'd have to reread the approval, what you're likely to see is less of a variance,
Mhm.
but I don't know how it was written up, whether it was this 8 feet in lieu of 10,
Right.
or it's because this is now a new house, and it might be 9 feet in lieu of 10. So we'll have to look at that.
Okay.
Mr. Edgar said that none of the neighbors had any issues or concerns the first time around.
Right.
But the good news is he has about another week or two to pull this together. We'll we give folks this, we have to have plans by a certain time to publish legal notice and notify neighbors. There's a little wiggle room in here, a day or two after the deadline, but there gets to be a point where we can't make it work.
I would like to reward good behavior by
Right. So it could
fast
be,
tracking this as much as we can.
fingers crossed, as of today,
Yeah,
which is a week before the deadline, there are no submittals for next month, other than the carryover for 11 Wilson Ridge.
okay,
So we can kind of see, and the answer might be a special meeting on November 30th or
Okay.
December 1st to accommodate these folks.
the issue
Where
is
you
just that it
just
has
heard
to
one
be
item.
public notice, it has to be, because the
If
neighbors
it has
have
to
to
be
have a chance
renoticed.
to contest.
So we'll see as soon as he gets the plans in,
Yep.
we'll analyze it, make a decision, explain to you where it shakes out.
Right,
It's very hard to make exceptions for minor infringements, or, the definition of what you guys are doing is, as you said, very precise. So if they are still off by 3 inches, which is really little, they're still off. And then at the as-built survey, it's gonna show that the setback on the side is 9.7 feet instead of 10 feet. And therefore, they're not compliant, right? So if you try to quantify it, you could say, you'd have to put that in a text amendment. You could say, if the encroachment is no more than 1% of the required value, then the zoning board of appeal would accept that as of right or compliant thing, because, but then you're opening the door to, like, you give them an inch.
1% becomes
It's
2%,
like-
becomes
I
5%.
know.
So this is
There's some
something that
tolerances.
you all have
There
to
have
think
to be
about.
some
It's
tolerances
dangerous.
in the survey
oh, yeah, thanks.
locating that corner of the foundation, which the guy did with a tape measure and a
Yeah.
nail.
I give him credit for figuring that it's off by 8 inches.
Yeah.
I know.
Uh,
Because I have to say, in 90% of the cases, they would have just ignored it, shimmy, squared off the foundation and kept going.
Mhm.
Those rocks, that other side looked pretty bad.
It looks pretty bad. But they could have shorted up and not told us, kept the thing moving along. I don't know, I like it. So, okay, so to that
But
point.
we will expedite.
Yeah,
We'll
I love that.
do
And
the
to
best.
that point
We'll
on
do
the
best.
stipulations, if we should be writing the stipulations so that in some cases there is a 1% variant or something, as opposed to a very specific, give us guidance on that.
I think part of it has to do, and one way to do that would be when we write up the legal notice.
Yeah.
Right, if you look at this map, it's 7.82 feet from the
Yeah,
property line.
pretty specific.
Well, we've started getting away from is the second decimal point.
Yeah,
7 feet, 7.8 feet, 7.82 is 7 feet, gives them a little wiggle
Okay.
room there. So there's always that, well, build in a little, a few inches, just to give people a little room to work. Instead of, if they request 7.82, maybe we round up to 7 and say, look, you get this much to work with.
Yeah. Who
I like
Who
that.
comes with 6.98 feet though?
Yeah,
Well-
It's never down, it's always.
right,
So
you want
what-
to give them a little more.
What happens if they're at 7.5 and the as-bilt's supposed to be 7.8? I mean, the as-bilt's 7.5, right?
That's a
They,
problem.
technically, they don't get their CO.
Because in the stipulation, it's clear where they're supposed to be. So a lot of the times I've seen when it's a ZBA case, which I've been reviewing since Woody has been gone, but the foundation as built is going to show us distances that are slightly bigger than what the
Right,
ZBA
'cause
has
then you put-
approved. Because people take a little margin of error and they go, okay. So they'll go 0.2 or 0.3 of a foot, so 3 or 4 inches further than what the ZBA agreed to do. So they know they're safe, right? But they're definitely, they would know, and then the surveyor's job and his stamp and license is on the line. When he says it's 7.82, it's 7.82.
Wow.
Right,
So
but
if it's, if it's
what we
supposed
want
to
to
be
do
8.
is try to alleviate some of that by saying, instead of 7.82, give them a little bit to work with,
Yeah.
just to try to minimize. And again, if you're a neighbor, the difference between 7 and 7.82
You're
is,
not gonna feel that.
you can't see it with the
Right.
naked eye.
You could say no more than,
Okay.
or no less than, whatever, just to have a measurement.
I like that.
That's more.
Okay, so is there any more discussion around this point? I think we're evolving into the new, what's he gonna be? What's the new, what he called? zoning board,
Code enforcement officer.
code enforcement officer. Okay, we're evolving into that. I think you guys are doing great.
The only thing that I do personally want to add, and because this is something that's dear to me, is I think when you ask for preservation or you ask for certain things, is to be careful not to mention the construction method in the stipulation. Not to say it has to be built by, with such and such material or such and such technique. It would have to be built for the safest possible building code standards.
So we should stay away from specifics about
like-
building materials,
Right, yeah.
building code, anything to do with,
Making sure that it works with the building code and is in the safety and the code, in the fire code and all that is a priority, of course. But not stipulating if it has sheetrock or no sheetrock, or if it is, what's composing the envelope.
stay in our lane.
It stay in the volume, bulk, variance, and where it's going to be. But how they, of course, if they demolish something, I know that's something that we will keep on talking, and that's a very important issue. But if they're building something correctly, that's better for the building itself and the longevity of the house, then it should be, at a certain distance with a certain volume, and that's what, in my mind, should take precedent.
So we just have some boilerplate language then to attach, like in compliance with all applicable codes and standards.
Do we review these stipulations before they go to
It's a
the?
great
I'm glad you
question.
mentioned that, Randy,
Great question.
because,
I see that
That
happen.
that should be
I
great.
see that
would be-
happen with planning and zoning.
right, what we are, Planning and Zoning, Environmental Protection Commission, what happens is, they close the hearing, they make a decision a separate night, and in the meantime, they tell staff, like last night, Planning and Zoning closed a couple public hearings, they deliberated at the end of the night. Jeremy drafts something up for our next meeting with all the conditions. So ZBA likes making decisions the same night, which is fine, on a more simple, straightforward. So one option would be, Randy, which is right, I'm glad you mentioned it, is to say, like with Jeff Scalise, condition 1, you must provide an as-built survey of the foundation prior to getting the permit for work. Condition 2, an as-built survey at the end of the project shall show the drainage and grading and the specific, and condition 3 was the existing non-conforming shed shall be removed prior to the issuance of a CO. What we can do is get typical conditions, get them to you in writing, such that you have them in every meeting. You say, condition 72 reads as follows. I would like to, condition 72, condition, because that way, and read them out loud so the applicant is aware, and that way,
It's on
I don't have
record.
to write it up, I don't have to watch the tape, all due respect, the video, any of that. It's said right aloud at the meeting, the applicant hears it, we all hear it, you know what you're voting on, it's obvious to everyone. Because you're right, what happens, if it's not clearly said,
Right.
I would write it up, I would run it by Barb,
I can't remember.
I can't remember, I wrote it down wrong,
Right.
there's a dispute. We want to eliminate all that. So we will do that going forward, is where there is applicable conditions or typical conditions, we will get them to you so you have them.
So we can number them like combo meals, so in deliberations.
Exactly.
I could say I want a number 1,
You'll-
number 2.
you'll have a
on the shed,
handout.
and a number 3 on the side.
Exactly, you'll have a handout with typical conditions that you could say, this would be applicable to this
I think
situation,
that makes sense.
and read it aloud,
And
and
that'll,
everyone,
that'll prevent something that happened
misunderstandings.
a few months ago where there was a lot of dialogue between the members, and then the motion came up. And when we were listening to the tape, the video, we were not sure if what the motion contained, because there had been so many discussions.
Was that last month with the preservation of the second floor?
I don't know
No,
which
I think
one.
that
It
was a
little
few
bit
months
before
ago.
that.
I don't remember which.
It was one that was very back and forth, and we were like, okay, who makes a motion? And it was just like, we were not sure which were the terms of the
Yeah.
motion, and that's, I think, having this kind of
That was
system
my
would
fault.
be-
It was the signage for the, real quick,
signage for
Jana has to
Cloud 10.
leave to pick up a daughter. So should I close the meeting and then we can't continue talking, can we? Or can I?
Well, if you have a
continue?
quorum, you can, as long as it's on the agenda, you can talk about.
Yeah, because Jana can leave.
Is that okay?
You're dismissed.
Thank you very much.
Go. Okay,
Thank
get your
you.
daughter. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll vote for it.
Yeah, I want to talk about signage too, but, yeah, that was,
Maybe Cloud 10?
yeah, I think it was on Cloud 10.
Maybe.
That they, basically, we made some we agreed to do it to the plans, but then the plans they submitted later and the stipulations Woody captured were not what was on tape.
Right.
So I was a little casual about it. I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like what we did. That was not. They came back to us and were very specific, like, that is not what was on the tape. That is not what you said in that meeting. And I'm like, oh geez, here we go. So we need to be very specific about that.
Cloud 10
That
came
would
back.
help, that would help having been so.
Yeah.
Well,
They had a hard time with what translated from the meeting on tape to what was in writing, what we asked them to do later. They wanted, like, we said something like, we need to see a full
Mock-up.
mock-up
Full mock-up.
of the letters prior to them going up on the wall. And they were like, when did that come up?
I don't think we said that.
And Woody's like, well, I thought that was a good idea. And they're like, you can't you don't come up with good ideas. It's like, what you decide in the public hearing is what translates to the and that was my fault, because I wasn't being as careful as I should have been in my review. So to Randy's point, we should review them and make sure. So Jeremy's.
Now, time frame wise though,
Yeah.
when are you reviewing the stipulation and are you waiting for the next
Woody
session?
would get them to me weeks later. I mean, I forget. So
So
if
what's
you
gonna
get
happen
them
is
to
it will
me-
be very clear.
Yeah,
And then what we do is we write up the approval.
Yeah.
With conditions or whatever. I give it to Barbara. Barbara has to sign it, and then it goes in the land records.
Like at the meeting?
No,
No.
she would sign it usually 2 to 3 days later.
yeah.
So usually on a Wednesday meeting, try to get them to you Thursday afternoon, but usually it's Monday, so we can file them with the town clerk, then send it to the applicant. Here's what was said. But the good news is, if it's clear, the applicant should know.
Then they can
Very
kind of move
clearly.
forward on
No
the
surprises.
surprises.
Numbering the
Yeah.
conditions.
Yeah.
Is,
But it was taking weeks.
Or by
so-
subject.
is the foundation survey, that didn't used to be standard, but it seems to be now.
I think it's been about 10 years we've been doing it that way.
It's a great tool.
Because what
Really
happens
great
is,
tool for me.
before people get too far astray,
Right.
and we've had, I'd say out of every, 30 or 40, we get one foundation that's off by a little bit.
The builders don't love it because we require an as-built survey of the foundation prior to approving the above-grade permit.
Right,
And they just want to keep going.
right.
Yes.
And they don't necessarily want to have a stop, and we require, obviously, to get the survey of the foundation, you have to have the foundation built. So, you have a little bit of a lag, but it is a great way to control the process and make sure that they're within the
Yeah.
limits. If there's plenty of room in the setbacks and plenty of room in coverage, and we know that the contractor is doing a correct job from the very start, we may be able to review the above-grade permit ahead of time and then be very ready to just approve, like concurrently.
Right.
But
It's very
there
important
are-
for working
there
in
are-
the flood zone,
They are-
especially.
yeah. But there are a lot of permits where the as-built surveys, it's showing you that you're so close, and so close in coverage, so close in setbacks, that we really want to see that foundation survey before we can even go
Yeah,
any
no, I
further.
think it's
Because
a
we
good
don't want
idea.
them to go,
I think
to
it's
start
a good
framing and
idea.
tell them, hey, you're a foot or 6 inches too far, or 2 inches too far. Right?
Wow, yeah. So that was item number 7. Then, should we close out item number 7? Do we don't need to
Sure.
vote or anything on that?
No.
That would just, I love this, I love where we're headed with this. Any other comments about this? Would you guys agree that we could probably tighten up some of the communication and? I like that. For other business, step stake lawn sign policy and enforcement. What is step stake?
Yeah, you had asked me to put that on the agenda. That
Yeah.
is the signs you see by the edge of the road, 2 metal posts with a board on it. Those are becoming cheaper and cheaper to produce. The policy has been,
I didn't know, step stake, okay, I never heard that term, but that's what I was
So
asking
easy to
about.
put in.
yeah,
So it's like Tokenie Pumpkin Fair is coming up, because you're gonna see these signs littered everywhere.
you won't see them. You will see them. You see them now.
Yeah.
So the policy has been, for many, many years, people are allowed to put them out 2 weeks before an event. They must be taken down 2 days after an event for Darien nonprofit groups and events only. So, the Topeka, Kansas Fair, we don't allow those signs. A sign for Christmas tree,
lights.
I will hang your Christmas tree lights? No. I will pick up your leaves? No. Boat storage? No. So, the signs you see driving around will be for events that will be coming up in the next 2 weeks.
Who's controlling this? Woody used to run around and put them in his
Well,
trunk.
we really have better things to do than drive around and pick them up. We
We do
try to get the
some
word
of
out
it.
to people. when they book an event through Parks and Rec will help them. Sometimes the selectmen, when they approve a road race or something, will tell people. Sometimes people come to the office and we explain to them. Sometimes people call. So it's constant.
So I don't like that it's haphazard. I think that's one of the things that can make a town go from beautiful to trash overnight.
Well,
What do we do? Just watch this, and then if we need to put in some kind of enforcement, we do it?
Well, it's tough because certainly you have to balance freedom of speech. So if you own a property in town and you want to put a little sign on your lawn saying anything,
It's on your property.
if it's small enough, this size, and it's on your property, you can say whatever you want, right? So that's kind
Okay.
of what we have to find for a balance.
Okay.
Frankly, we don't hear a lot of complaints about the Tokenique Pumpkin Fair, the Henley Happening, the Post-53 fundraiser.
Well, elections are coming up, so
The
that's gonna
elections are the
be-
same thing, they're protected. Now, the good news in Darien, or bad news, depending on how you look at it, everyone is running unopposed, so you may see less signs.
I've already seen one Zagorowski sign
Yeah.
in front of Christine, the medical office downtown next to the gas.
Oh, that's in her front door,
In
yes.
her front door.
Oh, my gosh. He's
But that's
running
been there for a
unopposed.
while.
Why- Yeah, okay.
It's been there for well over
Oh,
a
has
couple
it? I
weeks.
just.
It's been there for a long time.
I
Okay.
kind of assume the party offices are there or something. Yeah, it's always been there.
It's-
I don't know, I mean, it's just one of those things that's not really in violation.
It's
so-
not unlimited number of locations. There are some favorite locations for these signs.
Yeah.
You know, like typically
Hollow Tree,
highway.
Post
and
Road.
Yeah,
the
you
middle
know where the
section,
signs are.
yeah, You know
And,
where these signs.
You know,
Tokenique
we ask
school
people,
sign.
please pick up your signs, and most people are very good.
So when
Okay.
we go on inspections, we try to.
I will
pick up
say
the
that
ones.
state DOT no longer allows banners on railroad trestles
Good.
or I-95 overpasses, which used to be done all the time, and DOT has said no more.
What about missing cat on the wooden pylon, or the wooden
Yeah,
junk luggers? I mean,
yeah, junk
if
luggers
we
is
see them, I
different
can pull
than
them
missing
down, right? I can pull them off.
I'm not gonna answer.
All right, all right. Okay, so language we talked about, timing for publication of minutes. What, timing for publication of minutes?
Well-
Again, that's kind of under what we just talked about.
Right, is getting everything done.
I approve, and then it's,
Yeah, we have the meeting minutes, these which you'll be reviewing every month. So the one tonight will be the minutes from Jeff Scalise public hearing, but I'll also do minutes which represent not only the discussion we had on Anthony Lane
Mhm.
and all these other things, that there's documentation.
That's great.
So we'll run those by you as well.
okay, I noticed staff just.
With the minutes, votes, and all that stuff.
Well, like in ARB, someone on the board takes the minutes.
That is true.
You'd probably prefer that one of us took the minutes.
It would be preferred, but we're not gonna make you do that. We'll take care of it for the time being.
For the time being,
The
okay.
difference between the two boards is that you guys are a semi-legal board when the
Right.
ARB is an advisory.
I would hate to put you in the,
So you can't,
Right.
to be
wanna
quoted,
be
the
careful
legal
about-
minutes,
okay.
the minutes become a very legal document for this board
ARB
versus.
is an advisory
just a record.
board.
Okay, that's a great excuse for me not to have to do minutes. All right, I'll take that for now.
and it's also tough for you, the five of you, you all have to
Yeah,
vote,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
you're paying attention to the applicant, the last thing you
It's
want to
a
be
lot of
doing
work.
is right now, so.
okay.
No
Okay, but we
worries.
can continue to talk about that, because maybe we have somebody come just to do that or something, if that's important.
We're okay the way it is.
Okay. The other thing I want to bring up is that downtown, we could designate a historical variance and, what's it called when it's downtown, a neighborhood overlay, something overlay,
Well-
district overlay, no.
Yeah, Planning and Zoning Commission has talked in the past about village districts.
Yes,
and
village
all those
districts.
things. And, they're working on the town plan of conservation and development, and that might be something that comes out of
Okay.
that plan which they're working on.
And we could have nothing to do with that. Village district
That's
is
correct.
determined by P and Z. However, putting in a historic variance, we've talked about that in the past, allowing some flexibility on properties who are considered historically significant.
Right, which we've talked about, and
Here's
a
the
ton.
considered historically significant, needs
Okay.
a definition.
Okay,
So, again, just to draw on past experience,
okay,
if a house was registered either locally or nationally as a historic place, there were some easy to manipulate way to create exemptions because it was a registered historic house.
okay,
If it's a house that you, but not the other person finds historic, then how do you justify making an exception for something that kind of looks historic, but may not?
Because
really
even a
be?
plaqued home isn't necessarily historic.
Right.
You can get a plaque.
You can get a
It
plaque.
doesn't mean
Anybody
anything.
can get a
Okay.
plaque printed.
Got
But- But if it says registered, historic, on the National Register, blah, 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 then you register somewhere.
Okay,
But now it's up to, I guess, the discretion of the board to say, we think this house is part of the general heritage of this town. Which, this is a house that has a value in terms of aesthetics, and is that a purview for the zoning board of appeal to make a determination on the historic value, and then create some exemptions for application of the zoning regulation. So that's.
do we
bringing
have
back
to have
you.
it formally documented as a zoning regulation, or can we keep
No.
it loose and say,
No, someone presents and says, yeah,
it's a historically
If they could-
significant
And
house?
if you agree if the board agree that's a historically significant place, then maybe that's a good enough thing.
I think that's something
But-
we should consider as a board if that comes up in front of us, and like things like, even like a Frank Lloyd Wright house, we have some historically significant homes, and we could always fall back on that. We could say we could give it a historical variance designation.
certainly unique circumstance.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
It's not a hardship, it's a uniqueness, right?
I talked to town council about formally doing something, and they were really vague about it. They were like, well, it doesn't seem that hard
There
to
are
me.
provisions in the zoning regulations which allow the Planning and Zoning Commission to designate something called a protected town landmark. that
Yeah.
has some significance, which allows the commission to be a little more flexible.
Okay.
And they have about 10 or 12 of them in town. The most recent one I can remember is, there's a house right near Rings End Bridge.
Yes,
That Mr. Ozan wanted to rebuild it to look almost like, and they said, sure, that would make sense to me, so.
okay. So what do I do with this? Just
Don't worry about it.
nothing, okay. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Are you exhausted? You're tired? This is great. It's 8:45, we're done. Okay, I'm going to call it. We're closing the meeting. The meeting is officially wrapped 8:45 PM. Do I have I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Randy seconds, all in favor?
4-0, hearing's closed.
Hearing closed.
Thank you.
Thank you, well done. Thank you for sticking around for other business agenda items. I love that. And thank you for preparing all the materials. That was a lot. Okay. Are you guys all around for November 19th?
I think so.
I think we're very good.